Hey guys, Katy Huller here with KidsCanReadAndWrite.com. Today I want to talk to you about the CE, CI, and CY trick. It is such a tricky one for so many kids. So let me help you help the kids you're working with learn how to read these words with the CE, CI, or CY. So here's what you want to tell your kids. Whenever you see those C arms touching an E, an I, or a Y. See how his arms are touching the E, the I, or the Y. See how they're pointing at them? That's when he sneaks up on E, I, and Y and goes, "Sss." He pretends he's a snake. So they shout out whatever they were already saying in the word. So C sounds like a snake when he touches the E, the I, or the Y. You want to say, "Sss." And pretend those arms. And then make the E, I, or Y shout out in fear whatever they were already saying in the word. So let's talk about this word. In this word, we have a C touching a T. That's not an E. That's not an I. That's not a Y. So that's going to be the regular K sound. But here, look at the C is touching the I. And remember, if he touches CE, CI, or CY. So when we have that CI, that's when we're going to say the S sound. So if we're reading this big word, remember, we're going to find our first vowel, drag it into that next sound, and break it. And then find the next vowel, drag it into that next sound, and break it. Find that next vowel, drag it into that next sound, and break it. Now, normally we would not break up a trick, and CI is a trick. But because the C is sneaking up on that E, I, or Y, we're going to go ahead and break it here because the I, the E, or the Y is still going to make whatever sound it was already making. So in the case of the CE, CI, CY trick, you can still split it there. Here's our next vowel, and we're going to break it there. So this has a lot of parts. And if your child's struggling to read big words, just remember, break it up like this and then work to put it back together. So we would start L, then we go to the next part, ek, elek. We can put those two together. Start the next part. Is. Remember those snake arms. Tris. Then we're going to go it. And why? What does he say at the end of a word? He sees all those people coming and he goes, E. That many people are coming? No thanks. All right, so we have L, ek, tris, it, E. Now, that's too big for a lot of kids to know. They're going to sound it out perfectly and then blah, 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 jumble it up into something crazy. So what I would do is help them read two parts. L, ek, elek, and then read the rest. Tris, it, E. Tris, it, T. And then put them together. Electricity. 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 So that's how you're going to deal with this CE, CI, CY trick. Remember, you have to see, is he touching an E, I, or Y? If the answer is no, say K. If the answer is yes, say S and sneak up on that E, I, or Y. All right, so that's the first one. Now look, this time, notice he's touching his buddy Y. Now, we're going to say S here. And what does Y say after one or two letters when he can still fit in the car? I want to come, I want to come. All of these tricks are in the Black Belt Reading Program. So if you need help learning what these letters say, you want to learn, you've got a child who needs to know these tricks, they're just getting tricked all the time because they don't know about the CE, CI, CY rule. They don't know about the Y at the end of a word rule. Maybe they don't know about Y after 1 or 2 letters rule. Maybe they don't know the LE trick coming up. If your kids don't know these tricks that are in words, make sure you get the Black Belt Reading Program so that you can help them become familiar with them in a way that teaches them to read, very easily, trick by trick, and building into longer words like these as they go. So that's really important. You can find that at kidscanonlineacademy.com or kidscanreadandwrite.com. Either place. And I'll also leave a link in the comments below or in the description so you can find it there. All right, so here we go. This next one, remember, Y says, I want to come, if he can fit in the first 3 seats. If he's after that going to get squished, that's when he says, that many people are coming? No, thanks. So we have psych, and then cycle, like the water cycle. So remember, this C is not touching an E, an I, or Y. So that's why it was a K, while this one was a S. So I hope that's helping you see why we sometimes say K and why we other times say S. So let's see if you can do this one. Remember, find that first vowel, drag it into that next letter. Is this C touching an E, I, or Y? No. So this is a regular K sound. So when we read this, we go K, on, con. Now this one is touching an E, I, or a Y. It's touching the E. So this one is going to be our S trick. So we're going to go S for this. And then E shouts out what he was saying, which he was working with the R, saying, we don't know. So we go, cert. So we have k, on, con, cert, concert. So what is it? Concert. All right, make sure when you're reading words like this with your kids, you're also talking about the vocabulary. That's really important to make sure they know what they're saying. All right, here's a little one, but it's still tricky if you don't know this trick. So here's our C, sneaking up on the E. So here we go. E shouts out, say your name, vowel, because that's our sleepy E trick. So we're going to go F, A. He's going to say his name, right? Say your name, vowel. F, A, S, face. See how this works? It's a really fun trick once you know it. And it helps kids so much because otherwise they get confused when to say K, when to say S. So make sure your kids know. Find that first vowel, drag it into that next sound. X, X. Now, is this C touching an E, I, or Y? Yes, so it's going to say S, and E shouts out whatever he was saying in the word. So we're going to go S, L, cell, and then we're going to read the last part. L, ent, lent, lent. All right, so when we put it together, X, cell, lent, excellent. Excellent job. All right, now the last one. We've got 2 C's, so let's see. Is this one touching an E, I, or a Y? Yes, so that's our sneaky C. S. And then the I's going to shout out what it was shouting out before, which it was working with the IR, so it's going to say That's another trick. And that's where we're going to break it. So we have sir. Now, is this one touching an E, I, or Y? No, it's touching a U. So that's not the snake arms. That's just a K. Us. Cuss. Okay, so we have sir, us, cuss, circus, circus. And then talk about what it is. So there you go, guys. That's a simple guide for when to say K and when to say S for the C. Remember, if a C touches, if it has its arms touching the E, the I, or the Y, that's when you say S. But if it's not, say K. And don't forget with those giant words to break them up. Just go one after your vowel and break it. One after your vowel and break it till you get to the end of the word. And if you have a giant word like this, then put maybe 2 parts, maybe 3 together, and then the other 2, and then put them together. It's going to help your child's brain if they have processing issues, memory issues, retain that better and stick it together. Now, it is a learned skill, so don't give up if it takes 10 minutes for your first one. You just have to kind of get through that and help train the brain how to put 2 parts or 3 parts together and then add another 2 parts or 3 parts together. And that's about as long as words get. So once you can do that, you're in good shape. So help your kids learn to read. Again, I'm Katy Huller with KidsCanReadAndWrite.com, and I hope you'll join me in the Black Belt Reading Program. You can find that at KidsCanOnlineAcademy.com, and I work through the tricks one at a time, helping to build words bigger and bigger as we go through so that your child can read words like these, whether they're in 1st grade, 2nd grade, or 3rd grade, or higher. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you'll join me again next time. Thanks so much for joining me today, and good luck getting your kids reading and writing. Let's turn them into black belt readers and writers.